have to realize is Joker never really played an iconic part in Suicide Squad during the comic books. He was more of a support role and a background. So I think they did it perfectly.
It was actually, from what little I've actually seen and read, at the very most, he's shows up and tries to swoop Harley off, whether it is to torture her for being a bad girl or trying to save her.
Yeah.
But again, there's just so much here. I am absolutely terrified that they are going to try to go off and they're going to throw so much money at this that no matter how good a movie it is, it's just not going to make the money that they need to make a profit off of this, and this could very well kill DC's Justice League franchise.
See, we'll talk more about this after our break. We definitely need to take that little relaxing, get our thoughts back in order.
I don't know if I can relax. I've just drank half a big gulp while we've been talking about the show.
Well, sit back, relax. We're going to play some music. We're going to get our thoughts back in order, and we got a lot more star-studded lineup coming up.
All right, sounds good, man. So we'll be right back. Welcome back to the Captain Fizz and Mask Guys show. We thank you for joining us yet again on another beautiful Tuesday evening. It's been a wonderful day for me. I've actually had a paid day off. That's pretty awesome.
So I've sat home playing Minecraft, Kingdom Hearts, and Gran Turismo while everybody else worked. It was glorious.
Sure.
It was glorious. So anyways, what we're going to do is we're going to give you our information that we have attained of who's going to be starring in the new Justice League movie. So bear with us, it's a long list. We've been very, very diligent on finding this list. So thank me to thank you, or whatever you want to call. So pretty much most of them we don't really need to say. Ben Affleck, Batman, Henry Cavill, Superman, kind of, self-explanatory. Gal Gadot is Wonder Woman, another very self-explanatory. And then you got Ezra Miller is playing The Flash. Jason Momoa plays Aquaman. And he looks fabulous as Aquaman.
Jason Momoa, that guy's just absolutely badass.
Yeah.
All you have to do is, Game of Thrones, he was on Stargate Atlantis.
According to hints, and I have to say this just because it kind of ties in a little bit, he has been spotted over in London with some of the cast of Game of Thrones. Almost as a hint, he may come back in some capacity during the next season. Probably as flashbacks and things like that. So
that'd be about the only way they could really tie him in.
They have kind of hinted that they can bring people back from the dead. So you never know.
This is true.
So yeah, there's that. Ray Fisher's going to play Cyborg. Amy Adams, Lois Lane. Jesse Eisenberg is Lex Luthor. I really wish they'd kill him off. Jeremy Irons, Alfred Pennyworth. J.K. Simmons is going to be Commissioner Gordon, and by far, unless he's changed since the last time we've seen him, he is going to be the most buff Commissioner Gordon ever.
Absolutely. Simmons, who I'm just forget about the stars in the supporting cast. Oh my God! The people. Jeremy Irons, J.K. Simmons. William Dafoe.
Yes, William Dafoe is going to be Vulko, which is the chief scientific advisor of Atlantis. Now, there's a big name right there.
And, oh my God! It's just this floors me. Forget about Ben Affleck is good.
Okay, it is really sad when the person playing a scientific officer and Commissioner Gordon will outshine Superman and Batman.
Yeah.
It's really disturbing.
This is not the first time. They've oftentimes, especially in Batman movies, the best actors that have been in any Batman movie tend to be the whoever plays Alfred. So
and not really the case in this one. I found like I believe this is the same one from the last movie. Really not my favorite Alfred. But that's me. I've never been an Alfred fan.
Well, you know what? It's hard. I mean, you look at some of the other actors who they went off and had played that role in the past. I can't remember, but the guy who played Alfred through the first four Batman movies that started off with the Michael Keaton movies. That guy was pretty damn good.
Yeah, I find with this one though, his British accent is way too forced, and it just kind of, I don't know.
Jeremy Irons is very dry. I mean, he doesn't seem to have as much humor in it as you would think. I mean, considering the origins of the Alfred Pennyworth character, you need to have a little humor with the character.
Yes, absolutely.
So,
and then we're also going to have Amber Heard as Mira, which is the Queen of the Sea. So, Aquaman's love interest.
Quite possibly.
No, not quite possibly. Definitely is. Comic books, she is his queen. So right. It's exciting that they're doing that. Not just, him showing up, but both of them.
Yeah.
So, definitely. And it's really going to be a big showing from Atlantis. You got 3 characters from Atlantis alone. Probably a lot of background support. This is going to be entertaining.
Yeah, I mean, who else you got on here?
That's pretty much it. Like, Ray Fisher for Cyborg, that's a very, pretty big name right there. Jason Momoa, you cannot get any bigger for Aquaman.
I think, hopefully, he's going to go off and he's going to, he's the perfect individual to go off and to go against typecast that seems to have become Aquaman lately.
And this is what they needed to do. They looked at what the comic books are, old TV shows, things like that, everything they've done. And the weakness was the biggest issue everyone had with Aquaman.
It was Aquaman.
So the best way to fix that is Jason Momoa.
Absolutely. Again, though, looking through this, I'm a little concerned because, again, we still don't know who the big baddie is. I have speculation that whoever it is probably going to be one of Darkseid's, sidekicks.
Oh, I definitely agree, and I like the fact that they're keeping it hidden. They did the same with Batman v Superman, up until the very end.
Near the end, we found out that Doomsday was going to go off and to be in it, or at least a version of Doomsday. There's still people who would go off and say that he was more Bizarro than Doomsday.
Which I think was a clever idea. It wasn't so much the Doomsday that we know of, but this whole DC universe as of lately is almost like a Bizarro of itself. You got a very, not so much unique Batman, but a very serious, stick in the mud Batman. You got a Superman who pretty much almost potentially became a villain. You got a Lex Luthor that, I don't know, somehow de-aged himself.
Yeah, of course, I mean, again, that is kind of interesting because traditionally, Lex Luthor has always been played by, actors that tend to be, 10, 15 years older, at least. I mean, we're talking about Gene Hackman, we were talking about Kevin Spacey, just to name a couple. I mean, traditionally, it's always been, I mean, I know they had a storyline that was in the early Superman, Superboy comics, where Lex Luthor and Superman knew each other when they were kids, and that something happens, where a failed experiment goes off and causes Lex Luthor to go off and lose his hair, but he ends up blaming Superboy for it.
Yes.
But I mean, traditionally, almost everywhere else, Lex Luthor always tends to be someone who's, slightly older than Superman,
Yeah, I completely agree.
So, I mean, the fact that we have, Jesse Eisenberg, who is probably almost completely the opposite, about 10, 15 years younger than Henry Cavill is, and probably about 20 years younger than Ben Affleck.
Well, absolutely. And I found it just didn't fit with the storyline. Like,
it would have been nicer if they picked an older actor. I get where they were going, why they went off and had him in there. They needed someone. They wanted to do the have Superman die, and in the comics, Lex Luthor does have something to do with Doomsday coming to Earth and end up killing him. I believe he actually has something to do.
Oh no,
with
see, I understand that, but the casting that has always been an issue of mine.
I don't know. I mean, he's been well received with a lot of other things that he's done over the years.
Just not that role.
I mean, it's tough. I mean, I think maybe we're too close to it. I mean, we grew up, loving these movies. Although you yourself have admitted, on multiple occasions that you're not really a big Superman fan.
No, I'm not. But I still do follow it to a point that I do understand what's going on. But let's talk about the other little black sheep in the family here. Henry Cavill.
Yeah, literally black. Yeah.
Yes.
He's Henry Cavill.
Pun intended.
He has went off and he's kind of been teasing us. It is almost he's teasing the idea of bringing out the Superman's black suit, which, if I remember correctly, is what he wore when he first. Or in the comics, it's kind of confusing because when he actually shows up, there's actually two parts. He somehow gets split in half.
Yes.
And the half that we end up, who finally shows up at the end after, Superboy, the clone of Superboy comes in, after Steel's brought in, after the cyborg Superman are all brought in. The one who finally shows up and is the true Superman, comes in wearing a black costume.
Yes. Now, he showed the picture of not his black costume. It's a little, outline of this black thing that looks like some sort of outfit.
Kind of the Superman body armor that he...
My issue with this, and I'm looking at, and this is coming from the Death and Return of Superman.
Yeah.
That's the comic. I just wanted to kind of put that out there, what the comic was actually called. Now, when you really look at it, it doesn't actually fully look like the uniform. It looks almost like a shield of some sort. It also looks... And don't quote me on this because it could be something other than what I'm thinking, but it almost looks like the costume that Aquaman wears to a point. And,
it could be, but I mean, I remember seeing the Superman uniform that he wore, and if you look really closely, the fabric on that looks almost identical to what we see here in this little picture that he's went off and he's posted online. So whether he's just going off and he's trying to go off and cause some speculation and get the fanboys all bouncing with glee, or if he's just absolutely just messing with us.
The other possibility is Snapchat filters where you can do black and white, but I think this is really too good to be a Snapchat filter. So I believe it's either authentic or he's messing with us. Definitely to
I think it's probably a combination of both. To be quite honest,
I wouldn't put it past them.
Considering that he probably realizes that he's fallen into the same trap that pretty much every other actor who's ever played Superman.
Absolutely,
he's planning to go off and have as much fun as possible.
To hopefully break the curse.
Hopefully, knock on wood.
Yes.
So you know what? I mean, we could sit here. We could probably speculate for a while, but you know what? We need to kind of bring the show to the close, but I
do want to point out though, in Supergirl for season 2, Superman will be making an appearance, and he will be fighting Metallo.
That is going to be pretty good.
I have to put that out there.
I definitely am going to have to go off and go back and start
first
watching.
Time on CW.
Yeah, well, CW was a better pick for them than CBS was.
Absolutely.
So, I mean, it made little sense for them to go off and to put it there. Even though they had really good ratings there for at least the first few weeks.
But, it makes it easier for them to do kind of cross stuff.
I never really liked the idea of them having the Arrowverse in a different universe than Supergirl. That just seemed like a dumb idea to me.
So now we're just going to go into our more sad news.
I mean, normally we go off and we talk about the stuff first, but I mean... We were kind of excited, just to go off and to talk about.
We finally
DC.
had a script for once.
Well, we were just having some fun on this one. So, I mean, as people know, I mean, 2016 just absolutely blows chunks. It's just been a really, really, terrible year. There's been so many people this year who just went off and passed away. This weekend, we lost 2 more. There was, for all us professional wrestling fans, we lost one of the great managers, Mr. Fuji, who, what a lot of people may not realize is Mr. Fuji was actually a native North American.